Hey everyone, welcome to 5 More Minutes, the show where two caffeinated friends relive their childhoods and, in some cases, learn about everything they missed out on. I'm Caffeinated Kendra.
And I'm less caffeinated Scott.
You know, I've discovered that when I'm home all day with all of my brewing devices,
Uh-huh.
I drink significantly more caffeine, I think, than when I'm not. It's like I
Yeah.
wasn't gonna make coffee before this because I had coffee this morning and then I made a latte. But then I got this really cool vanilla cinnamon caramel syrup at Jade's British Bakery, and I wanted to try it. But it looks kind of like poop. You can't see from this angle, but it's very thick. But it's very
So
delightful.
thick. Huh? Well, that's good.
Yeah.
Housing the coffee down.
I usually have this down here so that it doesn't look. No, I don't. Do I? I don't know. I usually try to make it so I'm not looking up. So I think I have whatever I'm looking at down here. I don't remember. I'm usually on the internet. Listen, Linda.
You know,
Um,
Linda.
but listen, Linda. That's like a phrase. It just hasn't been said in a while.
Yeah, I got you.
Yeah. Um, I learned something today that I don't think I knew about, but then it did kind of sound familiar, and I feel like maybe I did know this and then forgot. But
Oh, snap. What is it?
In Black Ops 2, in the zombies story mode, there's a map that's based on Hanford. Did you know that?
I don't think I knew that directly, no. I didn't
Yeah,
play that much zombies.
it's called Transit with a Z, and it says place Hanford, Washington.
Oh, I know that map. It didn't seem
Yeah,
like
I looked at a picture
radioactive.
of it, and I don't know. Like, I get that it
I didn't know
like
that was based
Hanford.
on Hanford.
I mean, I get that Hanford was like, weapons, but like I don't think the map itself from the images I looked at looks like Hanford. It just
No,
lists that
I
as
don't
the
think so either.
location. Yeah, but so
Interesting.
that's where it's supposedly set in
Oh.
October 1st, 21st, 2035 apparently.
It's coming up.
Yeah.
Watch out.
Mhm. So that was my fun
Interesting.
fact of the day.
Yeah, that is one of the few zombies map I have actually played. So that was the one you had like a bus and you could go to different locations. Transit.
Yeah, I did see that, which I was like, well, it's not very like real, but like cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. Also,
Zombies
you
is
know what's
always interesting.
interesting is that the first vlog I posted of our golf, because I had to make it into two, got like
Mm-hmm.
4 times as many views as the second vlog I posted.
Man.
And I think I used like the same hashtag, so I don't really understand what happened.
No one understands the algorithm.
Yeah. Oh, you got your Dunk by Use.
Yeah.
Have you worn them?
I did. I wore them once, but we only went to Costco, so I don't know if that counts.
Nice. I know I've been
Yeah.
having to like wear my actual sneakers to like do things and school's out so that I can actually wear them. But I've
Yeah.
just been wearing those Nobles a lot because they're just like runners, they're like lightweight. It feels kind of nice. But I think I'm gonna try to get more New Balances because they're way more comfortable and they're less heavy and they're a little bit easier to wear clothes with.
Hmm.
I mean, not that I
Well.
just like wear my Jordans and walk around naked, but like
Right.
it's easier to like style them, I guess.
Yeah, that makes sense. Very nice.
And they're
Yeah,
better
I had
quality.
all of those Yeezys from Yeezy Day show up at once. There was just four on my doorstep. So now I have all
Nice.
those that I need to figure out what
Honestly,
to do with.
if someone would have bought these before the restock, because I knew the restock was going to happen because of all those social media accounts I post, I probably would have tried to get the cements.
Mm,
I also decided to just keep the UNCs because no one was like viewing them or purchasing them, which is really
yeah.
annoying because I had them priced like at either 200 or 210 with best offer, which is like where they're all selling on. It's the same price they're all selling on StockX
Yep.
because there's no additional fee or whatever. And like, because I got them, because I traded the Thunder 4s for those and the Skylines. And I really only wanted the Skylines, but I liked the UNCs. And then I was like, whatever, I'm just going to wear these on the last day of school. So that's what I did.
There you go.
Yeah.
Why not?
And I went for a theme in my plastic boxes today. So
Got some 5s up in there.
yeah.
Mm-hmm. Nice.
Yeah. So I went to the driving range before CrossFit, and I was really rushed because I didn't leave my house the normal way, but I thought it would be faster because of the time of the day it was, and because it usually is faster, and then it wasn't. And then there was like an event going on at the park, which is where I went because it's close to my CrossFit gym. I mean, the closest one to my CrossFit gym. And so I had to park like way far away from the building because there was something going on at the restaurant part. Like there were so many cars. I was like, what the hell? And I think my problem, like why I keep hitting the top half of the ball, is because I got really used to using clubs that were too long for me, and now I don't know where to stand. That's the only thing I can think of. Like, because I had at least like one really good hit with each like iron, but then it was like I'd hit the top of the ball and then they'd all go like 90 yards. And I was like, well, because I think I'm like initially starting too far away because that's where I'm used to standing because I had to because clubs are too long.
Yeah.
And now the clubs aren't too long and now I can't figure out where to stand. So it's like learning how to golf again. And I was getting a little bit better with my driver, but still not as consistent as I was with the old one, which I guess I still have. So I could bring it if I wanted.
That's true. Could bust it out randomly.
Yeah. But then I'd have a shit ton of golf clubs in my bag.
Yeah. Did you figure out if you want to go Friday or not?
I don't know. I might just like leave and try to like get there around that time because otherwise I'm gonna be sitting around all day like waiting to leave my house. But I want to donate because it's my like $80 day and I don't really want to miss out on my.
Yeah.
And they bruised my arm to like really bad yesterday, so I'm probably gonna have to use my right arm. So then I don't know.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
That's probably where I'll be. I don't know if you get into town early, if you want to just like come chill here or what you want to do.
Yeah, I don't know. It might depend on how long my appointment takes and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So
Sounds exciting.
I don't have any other shoe updates. I keep looking at them and not buying them. Oh, I did buy one pair, but not.
She's digging out the pair.
Look at
Oh wow.
it has an elephant.
Sure does. Look at
Yeah, and it was only like $65. But
that.
I'm saving them for like school. Also because they're a little bit too big for her. But
Oh yeah.
and it comes in like this little box. It's so fancy.
Wow, it's so tiny.
I know. But they sold out on the Nike app or sneakers app because I was like, I don't know if I'm gonna get those or not. And then I tried to check out on like 4 different websites. I said they were in stock, and it like wouldn't let me check out. Like I tried to check out on like Champs or something, and it just like wouldn't let me check out. And then I had to use an incognito browser and purchase them from Finish Line. But my browser, I just updated it, so hopefully it fixed it. Like every time I go to New Balance and add something to my cart, it just constantly keeps refreshing the page. Like I thought it was my VPN, so I turned it off because sometimes my VPN makes like websites work weird. Like I can't go to Lowe's.com with my VPN on. Or like log into my AT&T account. Like there's like really weird things, but it was just my browser, and I hate clearing my like cookies and my cache. Is it just cache? But I hate clearing all my data because most of my passwords are the same, but I hate it when I get to one account where I haven't had to change my password in a while and it's not a new one, and then I can't remember what it is.
Yeah, it's not saved anymore.
Yeah. Sometimes like MacBooks have this thing called Keychain, and sometimes the passwords are saved in Keychain and sometimes they aren't. So it's just really annoying.
Nice.
Yeah. And while we're there this weekend, or I mean, you're always there, but when I'm there, we have to shoot promo for a giveaway. Also,
promo.
Apparently, because I've been making dice again, apparently now the algorithm favors carousel picture posts instead of reels.
Oh,
Like I
okay.
wasn't like I haven't posted on my dice page, but one of the dice makers told me this. Like I hadn't been posting. I was like, man, my reels are getting like no views, which was kind of why I stopped posting, because I have 4,500 followers and I'd get like 600 views on something, and they're not even my followers, which is why my sales were bad, because like the actual followers weren't seeing my posts, and it was just really annoying. And then one of the dice makers was like, yeah, they kind of switched it like 3 or 4 months ago to where photos are what's showing up again. So I guess I need to start posting pictures again and see if I get more than 40 likes, which is 1% of my followers. That's literally why I stopped posting pictures, because I was like literally 1%, right? Like 40 people out of 4,500 is like less than 1%.
Yep.
Like, why? You know?
It's a good
But
question.
anyways, we're gonna do a giveaway after I'm done with
Ooh.
this. So probably post it sometime next week. But
Mhm.
I printed this here Goku Ultra, and the last piece just finished printing. I haven't glued
Nice.
it together. I need to sand it a little bit. But
He's looking fly.
I'm so mad because this thing has like big rocks on it. Like I don't know if I
Oh,
showed you the picture of it.
yeah.
But I was gonna top off the resin before I went to bed last night. I forgot. So it ran out of resin with like this much left to print. And I didn't
Shit.
have any more of this resin left. Like I didn't have enough, so I had to use my other resin. And now I'm like almost out of resin because I haven't been printing very much, and I have some stuff that's probably expired. So then I was like, man, I need to like buy more resin now because like I don't have any. And on the off chance that someone orders master dice, which I kind
Right.
of forgot I had on my store, I'll have to order some. And I printed the base, and it didn't turn out well. I had to cut it in half because well, I cut it in half because I thought the print failed the first time, but I think the print just failed because it got stuck. It got stuck on my little fan I have in there. So I think I might try it, put it together before I come to see if it works. Because as long as I can like fill those gaps in with something and sand it a little bit, because this one warped.
Yeah, I see
Like
that.
this one didn't warp as bad, but I need to piece it all together so I don't make it too big or too narrow.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, because
But that'll be pretty cool giveaway.
The one I made Jackie, because you're like that stuff, PLA or whatever you used is like lighter weight. So I was actually really worried that it was going to be top heavy because of how tall he was. And this guy's like big, you know?
Yeah.
There's actually enough stuff on the base that I think if we did use your printer, it'd be okay. Cause like the rocks are like huge. I just slice them in half too, but yeah.
Pretty wild.
Yeah. So we're going to do a giveaway for reviews. So it'll be a post or reel or both, I guess, because that's what Instagram wants. But we'll announce it. But basically, you're going to enter, you'll leave us a review, take a screenshot, and then send it to our email with your, I guess either your name or your Instagram name. When I do giveaways on my dice page, I use like a random generator where it's synced to the post, and then everyone who commented picks it. But we can't do that here, so I'll have to like manually enter in all the names. But speaking of reviews, I did tell Nate I would give him a shout out.
Very nice.
On here. And I kind of was like, man, I should have just like waited and like read that out loud to Scott. But I thought it was really funny, so I took a screenshot. Where
Donde?
I take a lot of pictures on my phone. You know what? I'm just gonna find it in our text messages because that's easier. Okay, so one of my students left us a comment. He emailed me saying he did it, but it's also pretty obvious by the name, which is Nate Doggo Boy.
Nice.
5 stars, unmatched. This podcast is, for lack of a better word, cathartic. Once you listen to one episode, you feel mentally reinvigorated and regenerated. Regenerated.
There you
go. Nope. Rejuvenated. With funny quips from Calvin Klein model King Charles and the great perceptiveness of Kendra, these two will bring helpfulness and entertainment to brighten your day. 10 out of 10 would recommend. Hashtag Bulldog Pride. Hashtag Peace and Love. Hashtag Nate. Hashtag Blessed.
Hashtag his own name.
Yeah.
Hashtag Nate Dog.
But I do have a funny story that I just thought of. So I had my quote wall. And Nate said something one day. So one of his friends was wearing a Calvin Klein hoodie because Calvin Klein's pretty like popular with like the teens, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And I wish I could remember exactly what he said, but he said something about underwear.
So it was something about I think you have told
Yeah,
me
I think
this
I
before.
did tell you, but something about underwear, and then like everyone being like Calvin Klein doesn't only make.
Wasn't it like, oh, I wish I had a shirt to let everyone know I wore underwear or
Oh
something
yeah,
like
it was
that?
like something weird like that, and we were all just like, "What?"
Well, I hope you wear underwear.
Yeah, it was really funny. But anyways, thanks Nate for the review.
Thank you for the review.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, and I guess if anything, I'm perceptive, and there are a few grammar mistakes, but I feel like I taught you how to write pretty well in the last school year. So, 10 out of 10 on your review of the pod.
Nice.
Yeah.
I guess if you keep those reviews up, you might be in the running for an Ultra Instinct Goku figure.
Yeah. It was $20.
Uh-huh.
Also, apparently, I
Well,
have credits on this thing, like CG
on like
Trader.
the where you get the
Yeah,
files from.
yeah, but I can't figure out how to apply them to the checkout.
Oh,
Like it
that
says I
doesn't get you.
have credits, and then when I go to the checkout page, there's no spot for me to click apply credits, and I'm just like,
Mm.
well, because I really, it really makes me mad because I really want to make something for myself because I never do that. And so I
Mm-hmm.
was looking for like Kingdom Hearts stuff because I feel like that's the only video game that I have the right to making a diorama for myself of because it's the only
Yeah.
one that I've like finished.
Uh-huh.
And there's pretty much no dioramas. There's like very sexualized versions of
Kyrie probably.
Kyrie, yeah. And I'm just like, okay. And then I found like one pretty okay Sora, and I was like, okay, it's like $7. I have credits. I'll just use the credits. And I can't figure out how
Mm.
to apply the credits to the checkout. And I'm like, this is really stupid. Like,
No kidding.
yeah, very annoying.
You'll just have to be the person to learn how to make the files and just then you can make and sell them.
I can do this.
There you go. That's a start.
and
It's more than I can
and
do.
this is about as difficult as I want to get into 3D modeling, I think, because there's too many things with like layers and brushing textures on. Like I tried to watch a video to learn how to make an octopus, and I couldn't even like. I was not chill with that. I was over it.
Yeah, the only time I tried stuff was on Cheyenne's laptop. I haven't tried it on my new one. It would probably
Yeah,
handle it better, but
Blender
it
would
was a
probably work
nightmare.
great on your new computer.
Yeah.
It works pretty
But
okay on mine. I just if I should have gotten the one with like the bigger memory stick, which I was going to, and then I didn't. But or
fire.
no, it's not called fire. It's called key or something. It's literally what it's labeled as.
Yeah, it's their
It's
energy.
fire,
Mm-hmm. Oh, it's fire.
anyway, so that's where we're at with life, I
That's
guess.
where we're at. And I was gonna like slightly detour us on this one.
Oh,
Have you been
no.
keeping up with this submarine shit?
A little bit. I really only saw like one, or I've only clicked on like one thing about it yesterday, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't, but JJ, JJ shared something really funny, and people were like, "It's too soon, but it's funny." He shared something, like a post that someone else made called "Things That Are
Yeah.
Not Aesthetic," like that's the page title, because it's
Mm-hmm.
Facebook. It says, "Yeah, I'm white, but I ain't. Let's get in a submarine and go look at the Titanic white."
Yeah, well, I mean, the more you read about this, the more weird it is.
Yeah,
Like,
I did not really do any like, uh, yeah, I didn't really do any research.
I
I
was
think
like
I clicked
poking
on like
around
one
because
article.
yeah, I like saw the picture of the thing and I was like, what the heck? So for I guess for those who don't know or live under a rock, there's like 5 people in this like minivan size submarine that are lost trying to go look at the Titanic.
Mhm.
Um
Which also,
and
like, the Titanic's been looked at before. So, like, what are you really gaining?
they said they look at it every year. So it was like its third annual trip.
Okay.
Apparently, I don't know why normal people, rich people want to go look at it, but one of the guys on there is like a researcher, and I think they just look at how much it deteriorates every year.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but you can pay 250 grand to go with them.
Yeah, well, they're
So there's like,
probably like, we're going no matter what. We might as well get money from someone who wants to go.
I guess, and I mean that's more than funding all of their crap, I'm sure, because if they get 4 people, that's freaking a mill. So they're
Mm-hmm.
like, okay, we're set.
Wait, so does that mean that one guy with his son paid $500,000? Because it
Was there
wasn't
a
one of
guy
them.
with his son
Yeah,
on there?
yeah. There's a guy with like his son. I'm pretty sure that's what I saw in the article.
Oh yeah, businessman and his son. Yeah, so
Mm-hmm.
they would have dropped 500.
Mm-hmm.
But did you hear like the things that it's like steered with a video game controller? Like a crappy Logitech Xbox controller?
That's weird.
It's and so I was poking around a little bit and I found there's an original CBS story from, oh, it just says a while back. But apparently this guy went to like take a tour of this vessel and like look at it. Um and he came back, and I'm reading quotes here. Um It seems like this submersible has some elements of MacGyver jerry-riggedness. You are putting construction pipes as ballast, Pogue said to Rush. Rush is like the CEO, I think. And Rush, I don't know if I would use that description. He added that the Ocean Gate worked with Boeing and NASA on the pressure vessel. Everything else can fail. Your thrusters can go. Your lights can go. You're still going to be safe. And so Pogue went on to say, this described the submarine as an experimental submersible vessel that has not been approved or certified by any regulatory body and could result in physical injury, disability, emotional trauma, or death. That's what this newscaster said after he left. So
Okay.
it's like not great. Um, and I've read like quotes from um, the guy, and it's like, oh, we're trying to bring technology and off the shelf equipment together to make this thing. So it's like it really sounds sketchy the more you hear it described.
Yeah.
and they're that far underwater, they have no GPS, they have no anything. So apparently they
So is
rely
this the
on,
normal vessel that they take for their annual thing, or is this like,
yes, it's the third time it's gone out. So it's been down there before, but from other people that have said they took the tour, they said, "Oh yeah, we only saw the Titanic for like 20 minutes. It was a 10-hour voyage and we got lost in the middle." So it's like it hasn't had a great
I feel like
track
there's a
record.
better way to do this.
You would think. So apparently since it's so deep and you don't have the GPS, they rely on messages from the ship above to send messages down to them on where to go. And so if that communication breaks down, then they get totally lost like they are now, and God knows what's going to happen. Apparently, they had estimated 96 hours of air, which is apparently up tomorrow. So, but the latest news, if you want to believe it, is they think they picked up the sound of like banging on sonar. So maybe they
Does this
have
have
something.
like
I don't
a
know.
limited supply of like oxygen or something in it? Like, I don't
Yeah,
really
that's
know
what I
how
was saying.
submarines
96
work.
hours, and they
Oh,
went down like
oh, that's,
Sunday.
yeah, okay.
Hmm. So pretty wild, but I don't know. And like you said, the memes are going crazy. Like Cheyenne showed me one on TikTok, and it was like, what did they say? Like, I'm about to start offering tours into a live volcano using only a wicker basket. And it's just like, anyone who wants to pay me 250,000. It's like, all
Yeah,
right.
well, I don't know. On Instagram, you can add notes. I don't know if you have like seen that. It's kind of weird. It's like in where your messages are, it'll show where people have added like notes. So
Oh,
one of the seniors who just graduated and followed me because they're all excited to do that.
right.
Their note says Titan, and then in parentheses ick part 2,
Mm,
because it's called the
yeah.
Titan, and also ick and Titanic, and
I also find it very ironic that the name of the company is Ocean Gate, because this
that
whole
sounds
thing
very.
is going to be like Watergate, but they're only going to need to say Ocean Gate. They already named
Oh my
themselves. Like,
gosh. Let's just segue to Watergate for a second.
oh,
So
okay.
one of my students, she's going to be a senior next year. She,
Uh-huh.
I don't know if you noticed in the mockumentary, says I'm in my Nixon era. And she's told
Hmm.
me that like multiple times. And I'm like, I don't get it. Like, are you talking about like,
Right.
And so I asked one of her friends who was in my class last trimester, like, hey, what does Valentina mean when she says I'm in my Nixon era? And her friend was like, what? I was like, yeah, she's told me that like multiple times that I'm in my Nixon era. And the only thing I can think of is like President Nixon and like Watergate, but I don't really see the connection beyond that. And so she like messaged her and asked her. And then I think she like sent her a screenshot of some information about Watergate back. And then my student who I asked took a screenshot of that and then emailed it to me. And I was like, that really doesn't answer the question. Like you're making a connection between Nixon and Watergate and then just saying I'm in my Nixon era. And that's like not a thing. Like what? Like I don't get it. I think it's just like fun for her to say or something.
Started saying it as a joke and now they're
and
committed.
now yeah. I was like, all right, cool.
Cool, bro.
Your life is a scandal.
Strange. So yeah, anyway, I don't know. We'll see what happens with this whole thing, but it sounds whack as shit. Like, I don't know why they would do that.
The whole world is whack as shit. Whack ass.
Whack ass. Yeah. Okay. Anyway, well, we originally were going to jump on to talk a little bit about Zelda.
Yeah.
Because the new one's out and Kendra's not played it at all.
Well, I did start playing Breath of the Wild, and then I was like, ooh, school's out. I should play it some more. And then my Switch is dead because unless I'm missing something, there's not really a way to turn it off. Or
there is.
I feel like I've done it once, and then I never remember how to do it.
You have to hold down the power button, and it'll give you the option on the top.
I feel like when I do that, mine just asks if I want to put it in power save mode.
Well, if you hold down the home button, it'll go sleep mode ? But the power button's the one on the very top, like kind of on the same row as the game. There's a little tiny power button.
Well, anyways, it's always dead when I want to play it. And then I plugged it in, but then I decided to read instead. I'm at the first like divine beast, but I feel like I probably need like more hearts and to level up more. I just kind of was going for it. I keep finding myself in like weird places with like scary electrical wizards that like kill me instantly.
The electric stuff in those games is the worst. It is terrible. I hate it. Everything else is like manageable, but when that shocks you and you like drop your weapons is so freaking annoying.
Yeah. Also, I think the only thing that I really dislike about Zelda is how often your weapons break. It drives me. Yeah, it pisses me off so bad. Like, bruh.
So like, Breath of the Wild is the first.
I mean, you also like find them really easily, so it's not like terrible, but like it's annoying.
It is super annoying, and I mean, these two new games are the only ones that have ever done that. The rest of them don't. You just have your sword and use it, you know. So it is a pain in the ass, as one does, as you would. So I was going to talk a little bit about the original Legend of Zelda.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. So the original was just called The Legend of Zelda. It had no subtitle because it was the original, right? And that was originally released in Japan as the Hyrule Fantasy: Zelda no Densetsu. Yeah.
Does Hyrule mean anything?
Well, Hyrule is like the land. Like
no, I know, but like, does it have like a like
an actual meaning? You mean?
Yeah.
I don't think so. Not that I know, anyway. It's possible. But yeah. So obviously developed and published by Nintendo. It is set in the fantasy land of Hyrule and centers on an elf-like boy named Link, who aims to collect the 8 fragments of the Triforce of Wisdom to save Princess Zelda from Ganon.
Wait, I have another question. Does every single Zelda game traject? Does it follow a trajectory? Like every single game, even going back to the first one?
What do you mean by trajectory?
Like a path. Like, is it all one seamless story, or do some of them not make sense? Okay.
Well,
I was trying to be like fancy.
They all make sense to themselves. It's kind of like Final Fantasy.
But isn't the newest one like a sequel to Breath of the Wild?
There are chunks that are. So there are some that follow directly after each other
Mm-hmm.
or are related, like Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask are kind of loosely related.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but generally, each generation is its own story, its own Link, its own Zelda, its own Ganon. And sometimes it's not even Ganon, sometimes it's a different enemy.
Is Link always saving uh
Pretty much.
Zelda?
That's always like the end goal, but in like you played a little Twilight Princess, didn't you?
Yeah, but I don't know that I actually played it enough to really know what was going on. Or if I did, it was so long ago. Like I didn't even really have my Wii for very long, so I don't.
Yeah. So there are some games like that one where you have like there's kind of multiple missions, if you will. You know, you're kind of saving. You have a little companion in that one, Midna, who's from the Twilight Realm, and you're kind of helping her as well. So you're like helping her get saved, and in the process, you're liberating Hyrule and rescuing Zelda as well. So there are kind of multiple ways that you can go
I feel like
sometimes.
Zelda is like Princess Peach, just in a different version.
Kinda, yeah. She's always having problems,
Yeah,
basically.
honestly, I don't know how much I played Twilight Princess, but I don't even think I knew like anything about the story. Like I literally think that I floated around and threw chickens off the cliff. Like I don't think
Sounds
I
about
don't think
right.
I really did anything.
Yeah. So the original, the OG, your Link, the whole time. Um, you control him from a top-down perspective because it was old school. It originally released on the Family Computer System or the Famicom, and
Top down, is that
then
like Mario or what? Or like map view
Mario's
top
side
down? Like
scroller, like
Diablo?
yeah, like Diablo. Diablo is like an isometric, and this was as close as they could get to isometric with that technology back then.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so yeah, you can move up, down, side to side. And then later on, they released it for the NES, the Nintendo Entertainment System. Um,
Hell yeah, bitches.
so since it released on the Family Computer Disk System first, that was in
Mm-hmm.
Japan in 1986.
Mm-hmm.
So it's been a while. And it came out on my mom's birthday, February 21st. Look at that.
Oh, wow. How old
Yeah.
was she turning?
So she was born in 61, so she would have been 24, 25.
Nice.
Yeah. Look at that.
Mm-hmm.
And then later it came to America on the NES, but that wasn't until August 22nd, 1987. So we got a little later, but we got it on a more well-known console. um,
Mm-hmm.
so over time, um, I guess this was the first home console game to include an internal battery in the US for saving data. So fun facts there.
Wait,
Um,
the game.
so
Oh,
like it
like
came
the
in a cartridge.
yeah, and the cartridge had its own. Were they all like that? I guess so.
Yeah,
It's been a long time since I
yeah.
played one.
Yeah, it's kind of weird because those obviously like the Nintendos didn't have like memory cards to start out with, so it was everything
Yeah,
on the game cartridge. So you would throw it in. It had a little battery, so you could keep save data on there. So that was
I guess I
cool.
never thought about how that was working.
It is strange to think about because I had the same realization with like the Game Boy game cartridges. Same
Yeah,
thing. The
because
batteries
it's
can go
really
out,
only
and then
like because the PlayStation 3 you didn't need to save, right? It was like pretty much just the PlayStation 1 and 2 that had the separate save things.
memory cards. Yep,
Yeah.
yep. They got out of that by the time the three came along, and everyone was like, "Holy shit, we don't need
And
memory cards anymore."
Nintendo's out here just making it be in the game itself.
Yeah,
Wow, that's weird. I
making it in
literally
it.
never thought of that because I had like a Game Boy and a Super Nintendo, and then went straight to my PlayStation 2, and I never even thought about the fact that I hadn't needed a memory card for anything else.
Yeah, it's kind of strange. Come a long
I was
way.
like 12. What was I supposed to be thinking about, you know?
You just knew that you turned it on and it worked. You didn't need to know
Mhm.
anything more than that.
Yeah.
So that's
And I
fine.
could play my fishing game on my my GameCube Advance or Game Boy Advance all I wanted to because I played weird games.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Weird games. A lot of baseball.
I did play a lot of All Star Baseball 2005.
Mm-hmm. So a little bit about the gameplay. It is quoted to incorporate elements of action, adventure, and role playing genres.
Mm.
You control Link from a flip quote flip screen overhead perspective as he travels the overworld. Um, a large outdoor map with various environments, and it had like caves and like dungeons you could go into, like holes in the sides of walls.
That's dope.
Um, yep. Link
Wait, do
begins the
they have
game.
this version of Zelda in the pack of games for the Switch?
Probably if you because they have like
Because
the
I have those
online
downloaded.
they have the online NES now.
Yeah, but I don't think it saves data, which is really annoying. Like
It should.
one day I was playing Donkey Kong, and unless I did it wrong, like once I closed it and went back, it like didn't save my progress.
You probably have to manually save it like old school.
Yeah, I guess I should check the Donkey Kong one because I was saving on that one. I think it might have been Mario that it wasn't saving, which I probably just hadn't got to a save point
Oh
yet
well, Mario you couldn't save anyway.
until you got to like the next thing, right? Like
Well, you would get
Mario.
a code, right?
Mm,
And then you would go to the. So then when you started playing again, you could put in the code and go to that world. I think.
yeah, I guess I don't remember. I played so much Mario. I should check the Donkey Kong one though because Donkey Kong has those little huts, and I definitely was saving it. I mean, then I
Mm,
never went back and checked, but I know that I did something that I thought should have saved and it didn't, and it made me mad.
yeah, I would be surprised if this you couldn't play this one because it's so famous and in that era. So
Mm-hmm.
um, so Link, you begin the game only with a small shield. But you can enter a cave and receive a sword from an old man who advises, quote, famous video game quote, by the way, it's dangerous to go alone. Take this. And he gives you your sword. So throughout your adventure, you find and acquire various items. You get heart containers, which extend your health. You can take more hits. Um, you get magic rings, which decrease the amount of damage that you can take. So it's kind of like armor, I guess you could say.
Mm-hmm.
And then stronger swords, which allow you to do more damage to enemies. You can mainly get these in like caves and dungeons throughout the world, so it's like behooves you to go exploring and get as much as you can. Um, and then defeated enemies will sometimes drop hearts. They'll drop um, rupees, which is the in-game currency, the little gems which have different colors. I don't know if they had different colors in the original. Hmm, might have to check that. Um, So there are 8 large dungeons in the game, and your goal is to go conquer each of them. And each one has a piece of the Triforce of Wisdom, which is kind of like this power. It's like this weird artifact of power. I think it explains it a little later in this write up. Um, but you also get useful items from beating bosses. You get like a boomerang for stunning enemies, and you can use it to like throw at things, and it'll bring the item back to you. Um, You get a magical recorder that lets Link teleport to the entrance of any dungeon, so you get a little bit of fast travel action in there later. Because otherwise, it is all just like straight up, you're walking on this overworld to get where you want to go. Once you get all 8 pieces of the Triforce, he gains access to a ninth and final dungeon in order to defeat Ganon and rescue Zelda. Um, so this game was largely flexible to players because you could go in the dungeons any order that you wanted. So, however you wanted to go about it, you could. Um, but the gameplay steadily increases in difficulty, and some rooms can only be passed using certain items. So, if you didn't already have that item, you'd have to go get it and come back.
So there's like it's kind of like a game code where each dungeon has like 8 possible different levels it could be in. It just depends on the order you enter them in.
No, they'll always be like the same dungeon. But for example, if you go to one where you're like, oh crap, I need the boomerang to hit a switch over there and I don't have it already, you got to go get the boomerang and then come back.
Oh,
So it's any order you want within the item's limitations. It is possible to reach the final boss without receiving the normally vital sword at its outset, which is interesting. Um, all those good old speed runners. Someone beat, I don't know what the record is for Breath of the Wild, but someone beat the new Zelda Tears of the Kingdom in like 54 minutes.
Okay.
So that's pretty wild because it is huge game. So they can just like sequence break things and do all kinds of crazy speed running stuff that I don't know anything about. After you initially complete the original game, you can begin a more difficult version, referred to as the second quest, Urazuruda, translated literally to Other Zelda,
Okay.
which alters locations, secrets, and includes entirely distinct dungeons and stronger enemies. So you get a little bit of replayability out of it. Um, the difficult replays were not unique to Zelda. Few games offered completely different levels upon the second playthrough, so it was unique in that way. It was very different. Um, by starting a new file with the name entered as Zelda, you can instantly unlock this mode. So you
Oh,
technically don't have to go beat it if you don't want to.
look at that.
Yeah. And now I'll go through the story because on a game this old, the story is like this big of a write up. It's like
Makes
nothing.
sense.
So the story is described in the instruction booklet and during the short prologue. A small kingdom in the land of Hyrule is engulfed by chaos when led by an army, which Ganon heads. He is the Prince of Darkness, and he invades and steals the Triforce of Power, one part of a magical artifact, which alone bestows great strength because it is the power portion. There are three portions: there's power, there's wisdom, and courage. So those are the three. And generally, they're all associated with our main characters, Ganon, Zelda, Link. So Zelda's always wisdom, Link is courage, Ganon is power. Um, in an attempt to prevent him from acquiring the Triforce of Wisdom, Zelda splits it into 8 fragments and hides them in the underground dungeons. So that's what Link is going to do throughout the game. Before eventually being kidnapped by Ganon, she commands her nursemaid Impa to find someone courageous enough to save the kingdom. And you've probably met a version of Impa in Breath of the Wild.
Mm-hmm.
So she's also in all those games. All these characters are fairly recurring because it's kind of like multiverse type stuff.
Mm-hmm. Makes sense.
Yeah. And she sends Impa out to find someone courageous enough to save the kingdom. While wandering the land, the old woman is surrounded by Ganon's henchmen when a young boy named Link appears and rescues her. Upon hearing Impa's plea, he resolves to save Zelda and sets out to reassemble the scattered fragments of the Triforce of Wisdom, with which he can defeat Ganon. Throughout, you collect all 8 pieces, and beyond their defeated guardian monsters, retrieves each fragment. With the completed Triforce, he is able to go to Ganon's hideout in Death Mountain, confronting the Prince of Darkness and destroying him with the Silver Arrow, which apparently is an item you must get along the way. Obtaining the Triforce of Power from Ganon's ashes, Link returns it and the restored Triforce of Wisdom to the rescued Princess Zelda, and peace returns to Hyrule. So that's the story in a nutshell. You go and you collect things, you defeat the bad guy, you saved a princess. So
That was fast.
yeah, it was fast. This is very brief. Well, the old games. They just kind of throw you like, do this thing. There's not a whole lot of story to be had. So, something interesting. So, I meant to say their names earlier, but this game is designed by Shigeru Miyamoto and Takashi Tezuka. So they were the main influences on it. And apparently, when Miyamoto was young, he wanted to flesh out kind of a world. Like he liked exploring. He liked walking around, finding little lakes, finding caves, using maps to like traverse out in the wilderness. So he had kind of wanted to bring this same aspect
So
to a
he
game.
is Link.
Kinda, yeah. I mean, basically, he is the inspiration for Link.
What would a
He
video
wanted to.
game inspired by me be like?
It'd probably be like a barista simulation, but instead of like giving out coffee, you just drink it all.
In the brass nipple. No one responded to that text, and I was very upset.
What was the second one that you
The
said?
brass nip.
Did you misspell it wrong? I could have swore it was something else.
I don't know. I was walking my dog.
I couldn't really make sense of it, and I was like tired, so I was like, I can't
Like,
handle
what?
this right now.
Wait. Which group chat? Did I send it to the gaming group chat? I think I meant to send it to the other one.
Oh no. Oh, you said nip even.
Oh, well, I just meant or the nip even. Like brass nip.
Oh.
Which
I
group
thought that
chat did
was
I send that message in?
it was in the mass one to everybody.
Oh, why can't I find it? Oh, it's literally the last message no one responded to.
Yeah.
I thought it was funny, and then no one responded because Nisa was like, "Don't send that to your friends," and I was like, "I don't think you understand that my friends are like not really gonna judge me. They're either gonna like respond weird or not respond."
Well, I'll respond weird later for it.
Yeah, because it could be like a bar and a coffee place, and it could just be called the Brass Nipple. It sounds
But
very like
why?
medieval. Like the whole theme, like there could be like a mounted dragon on the wall, and then there
But
could be
that's
like a
neither
statue
brass
of
nor a
of
nipple.
no, but there could be a statue of Bren of Tarth wearing a brass nipple.
Oh, is that what you're going for?
I don't really know how I got there. I don't remember that part.
Yeah, I don't either.
Yeah. It's very likely that this is like something deep in my mind from like a D&D podcast I listened to, and then I rediscovered it on my own or something.
Huh.
Yeah. But I got really excited about the brass nipple.
Well, that would probably be what your game is like. I guess you could name it that if you really wanted to.
They would think that's a sex store. And maybe it would be. Maybe it has a speakeasy that's a sex store.
Wow. Mm-hmm. A lot of things going on there.
I mean, you got to cater to everyone.
I guess so. Can't go wrong that way.
Yep.
So back to Miyamoto. He wanted to give players a quote miniature garden that they can put inside their drawer. So he wanted something that you could tend to have on hand, have a little exploration, feel like you're going outside.
Sorry, I'm going to interject again. But do you actually know what a really hard video game based on my life would be?
A really hard?
Yeah.
What, in like difficulty, or what do you mean?
Yeah.
Okay, what?
It would be
painting your truck.
A teaching simulator where your enemies are my literal students I just had. And see how you feel. You'd play that game for 5 minutes and be like, screw this shit. Yeah, bitches.
I'm not big in simulator games to start.
Well, but it could be like a simulation in disguise. Like,
yeah.
Like
psychological.
Yeah, like a psychological thriller where you're just like sitting at a desk, and then all of a sudden someone walks behind your desk and puts their phone in your face. Do you hit it? Do you punch? Do you ignore it? What do?
You punch and then you go to jail.
Yeah, and then you evade the cops.
Oh,
so like how do you get out of the school? Like wear your Heelys that day or something.
Yeah, that'll help.
Yeah.
Nice.
Cheyenne just responded and said no to the name ...
She probably didn't even notice it the first time.
Probably
because she would have said something to me.
And now she's like, they're probably talking about it in there while they're recording.
Probably. Okay. Miyamoto again. All this talk of brass nipples and punching students.
Yeah. I did not say I would punch my students. I said that the consumer would punch. I said that. Okay, Scott would punch them.
Yeah. Depending on the scenario. Don't test me.
Yeah. This is actually okay, sorry. I'm getting really off track. Did I tell you? So I've been listening. Do you listen to My Favorite Murderer?
I used to. I haven't in a long time.
Yeah. So I tried to start listening to it a while ago and then wasn't into it, but I've been listening to it lately because I'm caught up on everything else that I want to listen to. And they covered a story about basically the woman who is to like thank for modern day crime scene investigation. Her name, I think her name was Georgia or something, because they were making it was like a thing. Might not be Georgia, but someone in the story had the name Georgia. I just don't know if it was this lady. But she was actually one of the presidents, I don't remember, but Harrison Ford or someone maybe fired all of
Harrison Ford, the actor. Go on.
What's his name?
Is it
President.
Gerald Ford?
Oh yeah, but he might be too old. I don't. Maybe it is him. That might be the right time. Anyways, one of the presidents fired like all the women in the Pentagon and stuff at some point. And she was like the only person who was still hired, and she's kind of like to thank for um modern crime scene investigation, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And she set up. She was really into like I feel like she would be into D&D if she. Oh no, her name was Frances Glessner, who was named Georgia. I feel like maybe that's a different story. I
Well,
know
the
one of the
co-host
episodes.
is
Well,
Georgia.
I know, but they were making like a thing because they were like, "Oh, this person's name is Georgia," but that might have been a different
Oh,
episode.
yeah.
Because I listened to this while I was running, so I wasn't really totally focused. But her name is Frances Glessner Lee, and it's basically this thing called the Nutshell Studies of Unexplained Deaths. And she made like 11 little like models
Mm-hmm.
where you would get like a specific amount of information, like this was found in this room, a witness report happened at this time, whatever. And it was to help teach like detectives and forensics people like how to explore
Like
a modern
process a
crime.
crime
Yeah,
scene.
to like process it. And it was like so under wrap that like I don't know if they're out now, but like you could not just view these. Like you had to be like invited to a training. You weren't supposed to talk about it after you left the training because they didn't want it to get out. Um
Mm.
and she was
Let the criminals
actually
know how to get
right,
through it or
yeah.
something.
And she was actually given like she uh and it was she was basically given like a captain thing. Like she had a badge, she could arrest people. She never arrested anyone. Like it wasn't an honorary thing. Like she was actually given like
Just like
captain's
deputized.
privileges. Yeah. And but she never used it, but she always carried it around with her. And it was actually really interesting. She was born in 1878 and died in 1962. And I think most of this was happening in the 30s or 40s.
Hmm.
But they're like dollhouse sized dioramas and they have like everything's to scale. There's like bodies, weapons,
Hmm.
clothing. Like it's like really cool. Like I kind of want to try to like this just reminded me of that I wanted to like look it up and see like what you could view because I think they ended the episode saying they were in a museum or something.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, so she's like the mother of modern forensic science or something like that. And I don't even remember
Hmm.
what you said that made me think about that now.
That's
But
a
I
good
was
question.
I was really like um yeah, I don't know.
Huh. All right.
Oh,
Well.
because I was talking about simulations. It was what I said that
Oh.
made me think about it. But
Okay.
now I
Well,
want to know what they were talking about where one of them was named Georgia because they were making a joke about how someone
someone had the name.
I tried to listen to that podcast like a while ago when I got into it, and that's why we drink. And for some reason, I didn't like it, and I don't know why. So I think it was on for like a year, or I think it started around the same time. I think they maybe have like 40 episodes, so maybe like a year before, and that's why we drink started. And I know
Mm-hmm.
that they used to like mention it because it was like, it's like kind of the same theme as like their podcast. But
Yeah.
yeah, but then I kind of ran out of things to listen to, so I've been um listening to that. But anyways, I thought it was cool, so you should like listen to that episode, I guess, if you haven't been listening to it.
Yeah. Go check it
It
out.
was within the last like 2 months, so it's a newer one.
Okay. Very
Anyways, I'm
nice.
gonna stop sidetracking us because I'm all over the place.
There's honestly not that much more to go over for this game. I was just gonna give some of like I mentioned, Miyamoto. He would, as a boy, venture around Kyoto, where he explored fields, woods, caves, always trying to impart that same sense of limitless wonder to people who played Zelda that he had as a kid. So he would always go find things. He was, according to him, he said, when I was a child, I went hiking and found a lake. It was quite a surprise to me to stumble upon it. When I traveled around the country without a map, trying to find my way, stumbling on amazing things as I went, I realized how it felt to go on an adventure like this. So he was kind of trying to make the player have the same thing. You can go where you want, you can find what you want, play how you want. So um, Tezuka, the other guy involved, wrote the setting to be a fairy tale adventure, taking inspiration from fantasy books such as J.R.R. Tolkien's The Lord of the Rings. So lightly inspired from that as well.
I feel like Tolkien was just inspiring everyone with the Lord of the Rings.
It was pretty groundbreaking back then. So
Can you imagine? That's such a weird sentence. Can you imagine someone today being like, "The Lord of the Rings is so groundbreaking. Look at we have Instagram."
look. Yeah, times they change, you know. Um, so the hero Link was named so to try and connect players to be inserted into this world. So he's like your link to the game, you know. Um,
Wow.
yeah, right. And he serves something as a blank slate for representing their individuality or methods that you could use in the game. Um, Designed by Miyamoto as a coming of age motif to identify with, journeying as an ordinary boy strengthened by trials to triumph over great challenges and rise to meet evil. So he wanted it to be kind of a progression, you know, you're like leveling up, so to speak, and
Mm-hmm.
getting better. Um, the name of the Zelda the name of the princess Zelda
Mm-hmm.
came from Zelda Fitzgerald. Miyamoto explained that Zelda was the wife of famous novelist F. Scott Fitzgerald. She was a famous and beautiful woman from all accounts, and I like the sound of her name.
Where have
So I
I heard
took the
someone else
liberty
talk
of
about
using it.
this? Why
I
do
don't
I
know.
know this? Why do I know this already?
Interesting. Someone must have dropped a fun fact
That
on you or
actually
something.
might have been in NADPOD, like in one of the Patreon episodes where they kind of talk about other stuff. Because I knew that already,
Oh, that is
and
interesting.
I don't know why I knew that, but you just said that, and I was like, yeah, I know that.
Yeah, sounds familiar.
I don't know why I know it.
Yeah. Um. So let's
I mean,
see.
she's not
Early.
unattractive.
Oh yeah, maybe I should look her up.
I mean,
Zelda
for
Fitzgerald.
like a someone born in the 1900s, like she looks all right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I can see it. The first one that pops up, she's got like a cat with her for
Oh,
some reason.
I just clicked on the Wikipedia page. Oh, she
That
does.
makes more
Yeah.
sense. Yeah.
Hmm.
Um. So some early Zelda concepts involved technological elements with microchips for the Triforce made out of circuits and a time traveling protagonist, and they're a factor of their name relating to the idea of a computer hyperlink. Get it? Kind of
Mm,
what you did with the
they're
email.
being, yeah, that's funny because I didn't even know that.
Look at that. It all comes back together.
Uh,
Um, but the final game obviously landed more on a traditional medieval sword and sorcery setting. Later entries have incorporated some technology based components, like you're seeing with Breath of the Wild. You get some weird
mhm.
ancient technology in that game.
Wait, so yeah, wait, what do they all have that or just some of them?
Just some of them. Like most of them are straight up like, you know, medieval old style,
Hmm.
not any tech. But then Breath of the Wild and now Tears of the Kingdom have kind of been more like, ooh, look at this ancient
Oh
crazy
yeah.
tech.
So I was gonna ask that. Is Breath of the Wild its own thing? Like is there no backstory other than what the game gives us about why Link was put in the thing?
Well, you get that as you play
Yeah, you
on.
get that as you're going, but it's not like connected to like a previous one or anything.
No, this one, Breath of the Wild, straight up like new Zelda universe. Then that and Tears of the Kingdom are obviously together. But yeah, it was fresh slate right there. Yeah. Let's see if I had any other fun facts. But I mean, reception, obviously, it was hailed very well. It has spurned a crazy one of Nintendo's best franchises ever. You know, they've got Mario, they've got freaking Zelda. Um, Pretty much everything gave it either 4 or 5 stars or nines or tens back when it originally came out, even in, you know, 87. Um, Computer Gaming World in 1988 named the game as the best adventure game of the year.
How did
And that's,
wait?
yeah,
How did you give things ratings in the 80s?
like magazines and stuff.
That's true. I guess it was more like critic ratings then.
Yeah, they're actually, if you wanted to know, you had to be very specific about going to find out. So, yeah. Um, Labeled a sensational success in bringing elements of computer action adventure to consoles. Um, do, do, do. I mean, what else is there to say about Zelda? Everyone knows it's like wildly successful. It's gone on. I don't even know how many games there are at this point. Let me just do a quick look at that number of Zelda games because it's probably crazy.
Crazy.
The franchise currently consists of 29 video games, including
Yikes, it's
original
almost as
titles.
many as we are old.
Right? Well, Zelda is older than us.
That's
So,
true.
yeah. Including original titles, ports, remakes, and collections. Over 52 million copies have been sold since the release of the first game.
Nice.
So, yeah, there you have it. It was kind of a different dive to go into a game this old. It doesn't have a lot of story, um, but there were like a ton. Zelda has very unique enemies too. Like, the bats are called Keese. There's Octorocks, Moblins, Bokoblins. Like, they have all these weird names. Likes. What else? There's
They're
just
trying
so
to
many
be
weird
unique.
things. And I mean, they were, but it sounds ridiculous on its own.
Mm-hmm.
But it's it's stuck around. So
Look at that.
yeah, obviously a very good game. I don't know that I've ever actually played the original. I mean, I've played it like probably 15, 20 minutes worth, but I've definitely never
That's about how much I
beaten the whole
played a
thing.
lot of games.
I gave it the old Kendra treatment,
Yeah.
try it
Sometimes
out,
it'd be
see what
like
happens.
that.
Hmm. But yeah, that's kind of all I had on Zelda. Unless you had any other questions, or we'll see if you get further into Breath of the Wild, I guess.
Yeah, I need to play. I haven't really felt like it. Like, I've been staying up late watching Dropout videos. The
Hmm.
other day I stayed up until 1 watching Game Changer. But because I haven't even finished the Diablo thing, like the uh whatever the
Like
first
the
thing is.
tutorial mission,
Yeah, I
basically.
still haven't even finished that.
Shit. What class did you go with?
Druid, because I like druids.
Druid. Nice.
But I didn't like that I had to be a big lady.
Oh. Yeah, big lady. Um yeah, also though, Final Fantasy 16 is coming out tomorrow. So
Heck yeah.
I played the demo for it and it was dope.
How's that make you feel?
I'm pretty excited for it. I was not sure how to feel because 15 was good, but it had its ups and downs. Like
That's
the
another
fighting was good,
thing.
but everything else was kind of Um, I wasn't a huge fan of the ending of that game either. But I did really like 16. This could be crazy.
I still need to
And you
finish playing 7.
and you get a wild like
I
wolf dog buddy named Torgal. He's legit,
want a wolf dog buddy. I have on a wolf
right?
shirt.
Look at that.
I have so many, it's ridiculous. Every time
Why do
if
you
I
have so many?
because I followed this place called the Trophy Room on Whatnot, and they do nature vibe shirts. And every time I see the notification and it says nature tea restock, I click on it. And they're in California. They have an actual storefront, but I think since they're in California, they have access to a bunch of like hippie places. And it's kind of
Mhm.
like it's like a sarcastic vibe. Like I know it's not like actually cool, but I'm like making it cool because I wear them with my sneakers. So like it's like a whole like literally the last week of school, one of my students was like, I like your shirt. I was like, thanks. I'm in my wolf tea era. And she was like, alpha.
And she's like, I'm in my Nixon era.
I should get a shirt that just has Richard Nixon's face on it and wear it. And then I'd wear it and I'd probably not see the student who said that, but
Yeah, Cheyenne can make that happen.
true.
Print that out for you. Sky's the limit.
Ian just
But
said,
yeah.
will it have a brass knocker on the door, dot, 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 like a piercing?
Oh god. And
That's
yes.
funny.
Um, that's kind of all
Anyways,
I had. Did you have anything else to touch on?
I don't think so. My dog's being dumb. She keeps not eating her food unless I add yogurt to it for some reason. I think she has like an upset stomach though, because I
Oh,
got her these yak cheese chews and she ate like a full one and she has a sensitive stomach. So I think maybe that's why. And
dang.
tomorrow I have a training from 9 to 3, so that's annoying.
Nice.
Well, there's like an hour long lunch in the middle, so it's really only 5 hours, but So I'm probably gonna like edit this now, so I don't have to do it tomorrow when I get home. I'm probably not gonna feel like it. And
Yeah, true.
then I'm gonna be gone, you know. So.
Partying.
Are we gonna party?
Oh, I don't know. Sure.
Oh, okay. Let's play a bunch of drinking games, 1v1, and live stream it on a new Twitch channel that we start on Saturday.
Let's just see how far we get.
Yeah. And then we
Do they
can
let
yell,
you
shot,
drink
shot,
on Twitch?
shot. I don't know. Can you drink on Twitch? Also, just so you know, 2 weeks ago, whenever, since we record every other week, we literally talked for 40 minutes before we got to the topic.
The topic, yeah. Well, it's almost easier to talk longer when we're not going every week.
Yeah, and especially since I haven't been like gaming or whatever, because I don't like talk to you really if I'm not.
Yeah,
gaming.
That's true.
And but also because at like minute 28, I got super sidetracked by Wattpad nerd stories.
Oh yeah,
and I think we spent like 12 minutes talking about that. Like it was like bye virginity, and
right.
whatever. Like
weird shit
we were
like that.
really like off. It says community guidelines. Any activity that may endanger your life or lead to your physical harm is prohibited. This includes, but is not limited to, suicide threats, intentional physical trauma, illegal use of drugs, illegal or dangerous consumption of alcohol, and dangerous or distracted driving. So, since we're adults,
so we're good.
It would be good as long as we weren't becoming dangerous with our consumption.
As long as we're not drinking like a half gallon, we're fine.
Yeah, which, I mean, we're not in college anymore, so we don't need to do that.
No.
But if we really wanted to pretend that we were back in college, we'd get a half gallon of Monarch.
Oh, no. maybe
was like the most repulsive response you've like ever given.
Monarch, ooh, that was a different time, man. That was bad even then. So
yeah, it was not
God
great.
forbid.
But you know, the frats, they be putting it in their big like jugs, which honestly pretty sketch to just like, I was always kind of sketched out by that. Like I did not like it. Like I felt like I had to supervise Nicole and Jenny like so hard when we went anywhere. Because you just
drink out of this trough.
Big like igloo cooler thing of whatever, and I'm just like, you don't know what's in there. But I feel like it was a lot less common to be like drugged than it probably is now. So
yeah, you didn't really have to worry about that back then. The part that always bothered me was just like, this is a fraternity. How often you think they wash that thing? You know, it's probably gross.
Sticky steps and all that sort of shit. Also, one of my students who just graduated commented on one of the reels and was like, Scott looks like a frat boy. And I was like, well, Scott was in a frat, but he doesn't act like a frat boy.
I was in the black sheep of frats.
You were in like the least fratty frat possible to be in.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah.
It was like the group of misfits that are just like, we're just going to live in this house and see what happens.
And a bunch of weird stuff happened.
I mean, inevitably. We got some wild stories.
Mm-hmm.
Not as wild as some people, but there's some funny ones in there.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I guess that's it.
Yeah,
so be on the lookout for a post and a reel about this. Probably going to take me at least 15 hours to paint it, and I'm not even at that stage yet, so it's probably going to be a week at least.
Yeah.
Especially since I'm going to be gone before I get there.
The Goku.
I want to try to get it like glued together at least before I leave. I don't know if I'll have time. Mm-hmm. But yeah, so they'll be there, and we're gonna get some reviews and make our podcast not worth nothing.
Get us out of the hole.
Yeah, so if you're interested in the chance to win this beefy boy's legs, you can follow us on all of our socials at 5MMPOD, or you can also find us using the hashtag 5MMPOD. You can like and subscribe wherever you get your podcast. Like if you're listening to us right now and you made it this far, like download every single episode. There's 92 before this one. Just do it. You can undownload them later. Just download it. Download, undownload. Like you're fine. I know not everyone has like 512 gigabytes of data like I do on their phone. So just download, undownload, whatever.
Yeah, just pump those numbers up, man.
Yeah. Ratings and reviews. You can send us an email with a topic suggestion. No one ever has except for Jackie. to @5, the number 5, MMP. Nope. That's our socials.
Yeah.
To 5, FIVE more minutes pod at gmail.com. And all of our socials are @5, the number 5, MMPOD. And share it with your friends and family. Friends who are your family, family who's more like friends and family. And get some cool shoes, bro. Keep your feet cool.
Yeah, we clock out till next time, and I got my cool shoes right there.
Yeah. Me too.
Yeah.
Bye.
Yeah, look at that. See ya.